Okay, so we're going live here. If you guys can hear me and audio and video and everything's going out there uh, properly, if I'm coming in loud and clear, let me know. I have no other way of knowing. Otherwise, Crump should be joining us. John Crump should be joining us live here pretty soon. Keep your fingers crossed. Hopefully, he hasn't gotten rewritten out of joining us live here. I hope not. We'll see. You never know these days. You never know. Lots of crazy stuff going on in the world. So, while I'm waiting for the confirmation from you guys that we are indeed live, etc., I'm gonna ask folks out there to smash the thumbs ups. Share this if you can with your friends. Let them know that we're going live. We're going to talk about this stuff. Obviously, there's been news breaking from ATF that went on overnight. Overnight, I actually had to go do a sleep study. It wasn't super restful or anything like that, but I did it, got it done. It's out of the way. So, I'm gonna entitle this. I'm gonna call this "What's Going On with Braces in the ATF." And here we go. Looks like John's coming in here. Let's see. All right, there's John. He's gonna come in and get set up. So I'm gonna call this "What's Going On with Braces and the ATF." And basically the title is, "Do you want the red pill or the blue pill?" The red pill or the blue pill. So while we're waiting for everyone to get in here, for our folks to come in, I'm going to say, just let me know in the chat if you want the red pill or the blue pill. And to explain that to you a little bit, I'm going to pull the quote from the Matrix movie, because you know what? Some folks out there might have never seen that Matrix movie, for all I know. So I'm going to pull a quote from there right now. Let me see. This seems like it's a little bit too bright. I got to turn the light around a little bit here. Let's do that. If Lola was here, she'd be doing it, but I don't know. Okay, so listen, here's the quote. John, can you hear me, by the way?
I can hear you.
All right, cool. I don't know if you know this by heart, John. I know you're a nerd. Do you know the Matrix quote by heart? Think it.
Do you want to take the blue pill or the red pill?
Okay.
Or something about like staying awake or living in the world. I don't know.
Yeah.
You
So
do the quote.
here's the quote from Morpheus. At first, there's going to be something like this. In one hand's the red pill, the other hand's the blue pill. And he says, "You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes." That's from the Matrix. That's the quote. So that's what I want to know from you guys. Do you want the red pill or the blue pill? Let me know. I'll wait for you guys to figure that out. John, welcome. You've got an article up on what's going on with the latest shenanigans, or whatever the hell we want to call it, from the ATF, right? Definitely not a law.
What?
Definitely not a law.
Yeah, of course not. I mean, they don't
Yeah.
do laws. They just do. They just do I guess mandates.
They do whatever
I don't know
they
what to
think.
call it at this
Whatever
point. It's
they
just
do.
ridiculous.
They do whatever they think they can get away with, and whatever people in back rooms, and when I say people, I mean the organizations who pretend that they fight for the Second Amendment, politicians, and even people in the industry. Whatever those guys agree on that they could shove down our throats, that's pretty much what they do. So, that's what I think about it. Okay, so I'm gonna throw.
Like,
You just adjusting the light? Okay. I'm going to throw your article that just... when did this article release?
just a few. I mean, it was put in last night, but it was just released today. I worked on it a lot yesterday during the day.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah. So it says ATF to publish factors for classifying guns with stabilizing braces. And there's an editor's note on this. It says, see related actions you can take and brace manufacturer SB Tactical's comments. and there's a link off to that just for people if you guys want to see. And SB Tactical has some comments there that I'll probably get to here in a little while. First, I want to deal with John's article, and it says leak shows ATF to publish factors for classifying guns with stabilizing braces. And it says documents leaked to several media outlets Wednesday show the Justice Department is moving to publish in the Federal Registry on Friday, December 18th, 2020. That's tomorrow, a document titled Objective Factors for Classifying Weapons with Stabilizing Braces. Embedded below, note the document itself is not a ban on pistol braces, but it does lay the groundwork for extensive restrictions on what firearms can have the stabilizing brace accessories in the typically convoluted and vague ATF fashion. So that's just the beginning of it. You're all welcome to actually go read this on AmmoLand News. Okay, and if anyone wants a link to that article, actually I'll throw a link in here. Now go ahead, John. Give us the gist of what this is about.
They published some stuff that they're going to go over to determine if a pistol brace is actually a pistol brace or stock. The issue with all this is it's not extremely too clear on what they want. They're taking what's called the holistic approach, where every pistol with the stock, not a stock, but every pistol with the pistol brace attached to it will have to be examined by the ATF before they can determine if that is a stock or called a shouldering device or a actual pistol brace. So we don't really know like who has what. Basically, if you have a pistol that has a SB Tactical stock on there, or not only SB Tactical, if you have like a Gearworks or anything, no one's really sure if that stock is, if that brace is a stock or it's a brace. So really, really confusing. They lay down a couple different things like caliber. The caliber can determine if it's a brace or a stock.
Right, or weight.
Weight is another thing. Length of pull. They have a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is not too clear because they don't specify weight. They don't specify a length of pull. A couple other things that they put in there is like if it's based on a stock, a known stock. Almost all of them are.
Right.
And it automatically becomes a stock. Or if it's also attaching methods. Just attach a buffer tube or something like that, then it becomes a stock. So almost everything out there is either going to be considered a shouldering device or could be considering a shouldering device, depending on what the FFL agent decides on that day.
Yeah. By the way, I actually have the unofficial draft of this that was leaked, which I'll throw up here for people if they want to see it. You're okay with that, right?
So yeah, dude, it's everywhere.
Okay. Yeah. So
I gave it to you, it wasn't, but
it's
everywhere. When I gave it to you, it wasn't everywhere. But
okay. Yeah. So so it says here, in recent years, some manufacturers have produced and sold devices designed to be attached to large and or heavy pistols, which are marketed to help a shooter stabilize his or her arm to support single-handed fire braces. ATF was advised by the first manufacturer to submit an arm brace for classification that the intent of the arm brace was to facilitate one-handed firing of the AR-15 pistol for those with limited strength or mobility due to a handicap, and to reduce bruising to the forearm when firing with one hand. According to the manufacturer, the brace concept was inspired by the needs of disabled combat veterans who still enjoy recreational shooting but could not reliably control heavy pistols without assistance. And then they said, consequently, ATF agrees that there are legitimate uses for certain stabilizing braces. Okay, so that's the first part of their letter, where they're saying, oh yeah, you know, this is what it was told to us that this was for, and basically they went along with that, right?
Yeah, what they're claiming is that the manufacturers have went away from that and started making them as like a workaround for the NFA.
Yeah.
That's what they claim.
Now that's what they're claiming, and whether the reason why I'm asking everyone whether or not they want to take the red pill or the blue pill is because the conversation I want to have about this, I want to be more succinct, right? I don't want to hit the folks out there in the audience with rah rah rah. Let's go start a march on Washington. Let's call up our senators and write letters very angrily. I don't want to do that. I want to explain to folks out there exactly what's happening here and how we got to this as quickly as we can, right? You've done a lot of work on this in the past. You've published articles and put information out there for people over the last 3 months?
Probably more than that. Probably going back a good year.
A good year. Okay. You've made FOIA requests, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then there's some information that's been coming to you from, and you've said this before, so, I mean, stop me here. I don't want to create any problems for you, so I'm trying to tread lightly, right?
My internal sources at the ATF?
Yes, so you've got sources at the ATF that are giving you information of what's going on, but you've also backed that up with Freedom of Information Act requests.
Yeah, because that's how usually, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit how the falsehoods are made. Usually you get a tip. Someone says, hey, you should look at here, or they say, hey, look here. And that's when you go and you put in a FOIA saying, hey, I want all the information related to this, this location. And I actually want to do a FOIA class for like everyone for free or something like that. I'll do some video on how to do FOIAs, just so everyday people can go ahead and FOIA stuff. I think that would be a very useful video series. But you go ahead and you FOIA the information, and then you get the information and you see if it matches up. A lot of times you know what it is, or you actually have the documents, but you do a FOIA for two different reasons. So you could have, okay, well, here is an official copy that we can release to everyone. It's not leaked. It's officially leaked. And not officially leaked. It's officially released via. Another reason why you do a FOIA on documents you already have is to see if they're going to be honest with you. Because if you get all the documents and you're missing a few that you already have, you go back to them and say, hey, you didn't give me all the documents. I know for a fact you didn't give me all the documents. But you don't tell the documents you have, but you just say, I have documents, you didn't give me all. And then they will go back and they'll send you more documents. And the hope of that is that they actually send you the documents that you have and plus documents that you don't have, because they're not really sure what you have already.
Okay. All right. So
little to get
right. So just to keep everyone in line here, because I know there's a whole bunch of questions and things like that, which I plan to get to all of that before we come off air. So we're going to get to everything that all the questions or comments that people want us to get to, but I just want to make sure everyone understands this. So give me like a brief timeline of what's been going on here according to your reporting when it comes to the subject of braces and the ATF. I know there's some side stuff with 80% lowers and polymer 80, but what's been going on with the braces?
Yeah. By the way, there's an update with the polymer 80 stuff. I'll give you that in a little bit.
Okay.
But what's going on with braces? ATF, they don't like braces. Marvin Richardson, who's the second in charge at the ATF, actually have made comments to other agents about braces and what he thinks about them, and he thinks they're stocks. Regina Lombardo, who's the head of the ATF, she's the acting head of the ATF. She's basically taking Marvin Richardson's side, and they think they're stocks. They've been going back and forth between some people in the industry and the ATF and the Justice Department about braces. The ATF basically thinks that they got played by the industry. They're supposed to be for one thing, but all of a sudden people are using them. And then they said something like, you can occasionally shoulder it if it's incidental or accidental. And the ATF says, well, then we see advertisers advertising it being shouldered. So that's one of the things that got them upset. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I'm not gonna say it is. I'm not gonna say it isn't. But
Yeah.
that's what the ETF says.
Yeah, so even from this draft document here, initially they're saying they did it because of disabled veterans, right? And then of course there's the Americans with what is it? Americans with Disabilities Act.
Yeah, American Disabilities Act. I see a lot of people reference that, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that really applies here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So the thing is that they reluctantly they're saying did this thing for that particular reason. They approve stuff from.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, they're claiming that it was like a one-off type thing that these were only approved
Mm-hmm.
or to help people out. I mean, and it's just not the big boy SB Tactical in the room. It's like other manufacturers that are tied up in this now, unfortunately.
Right.
And now, like Gearhead Works, like what are they gonna do?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. My heart goes out to everyone that works for those companies and all those companies themselves, but
So,
it's
so one of the things here I could say to people, and I want to explain this to folks, that they approve this, but they approve specific things, and then
yeah,
basically every other brace that comes out needs to be approved. And for years, there's kind of been things going back and forth between other companies in the industry because we could safely say that SB Tactical pioneered this industry of the brace, and
yeah,
then
we can do that.
yes,
Is
and
it-
then other people got involved, but there's always been a lot of back and forth where first of all, SB Tactical sued other companies, and they've said that other companies don't have letters for their brace, and then the other companies have said, wait a second. We have approval letters. We went through the approval process and have approval letters for our braces, and those guys don't actually have approval letters for the braces they're currently putting out. And your article that came out a few weeks ago, which was um, heavily rewritten by your editors over at AmmoLand, basically, prove that, right? That.
So I wouldn't say it proved it.
Mhm,
It did. Uh,
mhm,
what I would say, according to the ATF,
mhm, mhm,
that was the case. But
mhm.
there was some going back and forth where the ATF said that ASP Tactical only had 2 letters. SB Tactical said no, we have more, and they were going back and forth. I can't say whether that was to like demonize the brace companies or
Mhm.
if it was right. I just put out there both sides of the story and all the facts that that's up to the people out there to decide who they want to believe.
Right, I understand that. I'm just trying to paint a picture for the folks out there, right? Because so you have one job. You're a reporter,
But yeah, I
right?
report both sides and
This
people
is
out
what you
there.
do. Yes. Now, for me, I think my job is another job. My job, I think, is for the folks out there that are actually watching this. I'm kind of like I don't see myself as an insider, but I am behind the scenes of a lot of stuff going on, and that gives me the ability to talk to the folks out there straight if they want to hear it of what's
Yeah.
going on here. And I know for years there's been this thing going on where, and I'm just gonna be succinct here because there's no time to play around and try to be nice about it. But SB Tactical has been saying other people don't have letters for their braces, and the other companies have been going, yes, we do have letters for our braces. You don't have letters for the stuff that you're putting out, right? They may have one for the original, and that's what came out. Like what came out recently was the clarification of that. That ATF is saying that these guys have an approval letter from us for the original one, and then there's one associated with SIG, and that's it. So that we can argue this all you want to. It's a simple way to settle it. If SB Tactical says that all these years they've had other final approval letters from the ATF, they just need to show it. It's as simple as that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I know Gearhead Works. They have a letter. I actually found the letter when I was looking through some documents
Right.
from ATF dump, but I actually
Yeah.
found the letter.
Yeah.
So
Here's the reason.
I just want to say I don't know who has letters and who doesn't. There's so many brace companies
Right.
out there. I I haven't seen all the letters. I can only say the letters that I have seen for the two original SB Tactical ones, and the Gearhead Works one. I have seen a letter for them, and there are a few others I have seen for smaller companies that I've seen letters for. But so many letters. I mean, it's impossible to go through them all.
You would have to check and see who has letters, who doesn't have letters. But what's happening here, like this specific thing that the ATF is putting out, and I talked to someone today, and I'll basically tell you what they said to me. They said, you know what, SB Tactical basically created the brace industry and destroyed it at the same time. Okay, and this is me saying it, and the thing that's going on here is that for a while these guys have known that they have issues with the ATF, and they've been putting this out. And then in the industry-wide, lots of companies have been getting on board and selling pistols, AR pistols, right, and variations of that to their customers with either one of two things happen. Either they knew that there were no approval letters for this and they were selling those, or they didn't know because they didn't do their proper due diligence before licensing these products. Okay, and then they were bamboozled and they were selling these. Now, why is that? Like, there's going to be people like, oh, why is that important? We all just need to get together and go march on Capitol Hill. That's all we need to do, and call the congressman. The thing I'm trying to say to folks about that, you need to know exactly what's happening to you. The problem here is that's been going on for a while. ATF is saying, hey, we've been talking about this for a while. Nothing is being done. These things are still being put out into the world. We're looking at somewhere between 4 and 6 million have gone out there, right? And now they're proposing brand new rules that puts all of that in question, even for the companies that had a letter and were making exactly what they have a letter for. Now all of that's in question. Now, so let's put aside the biggest player in the industry and what they're going to do. There's smaller players in the industry that have been following the rules, and now they're going in looking at their employees like, oh, I don't know what's going on here. Now we're going to have to figure all of this out and start all over again and figure out from the ATF whether or not you have an SBR or a pistol.
Honestly, I don't think there's a way to determine that, if you have one or not.
Yeah. Okay.
It's going to affect every corner of the industry, and this letter is not just for SB Tactical Braces. It's for all braces in general. I know there's some question whether, like, what type of force of law that this will have. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. But we have to remember right now, braces are still legal if you have them on for at least for the comment period. Until this letter gets signed, you're not breaking any laws by having a brace. I just want to put that out there right now. And because a lot of people woke up this morning and they're like, oh my God, I got to go rip them off my ARs. And at this point, no, you don't. There's nothing that has force of law at this moment in time.
Yeah.
Will that change after the letter gets signed? Yeah, probably. But right now, you're not a felon if you have a...
Yeah, and someone asked the question, by the way, in the chat. Someone's asking the question, why hasn't the ATF made any arrests against SB or anyone else? One of the things you need to realize, if you only manufacture a brace, you don't need to have an FFL. And therefore, there's no jurisdiction that the ATF is going to have over you.
You got to remember, even if they do go through with everything in this letter, it's not going to make braces illegal. Braces are still going to be legal. What might be questionable legally is the gun that you put it on. That brace, it's always going to be legal, no matter what. It's always going to be legal because that's not a firearm or anything. What's the regulated part is the firearm. And what they're saying is if you fail certain categories, then it automatically changes your gun from a pistol into a SBR.
Yeah, so they're saying it depends on what caliber, but they're not saying what caliber they're going to magically come up with. Like, what are the approved, what are the not approved calibers? If you put an optic on there that's got magnification, then it could be. If it's a certain weight, then it could be, an SBR. What? Right?
of a bipod, then it will be.
Yeah, if you put a bipod and things like that on it, but they're not in that thing. They're not saying exactly what. Here's the thing. Here's what I asked. The question I ask myself when I read all of that, and I'm sure by now people have had enough time to get into it and read through the whole thing. Where did this come from? Okay,
Yeah, well,
did the ATF pull this out of their ass, or where exactly did the idea for what's written in here come from?
well, it came from thegundys.com, and you can go in there and you can like just vote for me. I had to
All
break
right.
the tension.
Yeah,
No,
but I'm just asking a question because I'm sure the folks out there want to know where does the ATF get this idea from?
Fat D and the people who run Fat D. Fat D is their their branch that actually their technology branch, and they go in and they examine all the stuff and they make determinations. They issue determination letters. And
Okay,
like that.
right. So, okay. Now I'm going to assume that they didn't just decide this without thinking like, I wonder what the politicians are going to think about this. I wonder what those pro 2A organizations are going to think about this. I wonder what this industry that we've been regulating and approving or not approving are going to think about this, right? I'm just asking a question that a person with like a couple of brain cells to rub together is going to ask.
Yeah,
So,
I think this has been going on behind the scenes in the ATF for a long time. I know they wanted to move on braces and stuff. In fact, I wrote an article a while ago about the Biden transition team meeting with or having a conversation with Regina Lombardo and
mhm.
Mark Richardson, and they discussed what they wanted to go after, and they said 80% lawyers and braces. And at the time I wrote that, everyone was like looking at me like I was crazy. That there's no way that could have happened, and that's not what they really wanted. But it was. I'm surprised that they're doing it now. I thought they would wait until after the inauguration, but it looks like they're auditioning.
Yeah. Listen, the reason why I'm really upset about this, but the reason why I'm upset is because I've been looking at this and I've been following your reporting on this, right? And looking at different things going on here for a while. So it's not just when you're saying, hey, this is what the Biden administration wants to go after. This is potentially something that's going to get smacked upside the head. There's other things happening here that makes people that makes me, if you think about it, it's like, hey, all of these things are lining up. The last thing you put out, people like said, you wrote a hit piece. There's all this kind of stuff going on out there in the world.
My
Go ahead.
sorry, my attention wasn't to write a hit piece on the last article, the one that you're talking about. My
Mhm.
intention was to inform the people of what was coming down, so people weren't caught off guard and people weren't surprised. Because at the end of the day, it's the people who own the companies are probably going to be fine, and the companies themselves, I think I don't know, I really can't say they're going to be fine, but the industry people are going to move on and keep on keeping on. Basically, the people that are going to get hurt are the people out there, the gun owners, and that's who I'm really concerned about. That's why I wrote the original article,
Yeah.
and that people need to know. It wasn't meant to be a hit piece against any company or any person. It was just to inform. And if you read the original piece, there was no emotion to it. I
Mhm.
kept everything very neutral and no opinion. It was just here are the facts.
Yeah.
What one side's saying, here's what the other side is saying.
Well,
You
and
know,
this is the thing that I want the folks out there to understand, that part of what you're saying, right? Because so the people who own companies that are putting millions of dollars in their bank accounts from this, the people who own it and are stacking the millions, they're going to be fine. Now, can their employees, can the people who work for them suffer? Yes. But here's the big thing. There's lots of people, millions and millions of Americans out there right now that bought these pistol braces or firearms with pistol braces on it, and in their interpretation of what they were doing and the representation from those companies, they were doing something that was legal. And now today, they're all sitting there looking at it like, so I'm going to now have to either take off this this brace from this thing and then throw it away, destroy it, turn it back into the ATF, or I'm going to have to go register this firearm as an SBR. And I'm not going to do that. And I'm pretty sure the folks out there looking at this are not going to do that. We're not going to, in fact, create a add to the registry for the ATF, right?
Yeah, that's true. I did want to do one thing really quick. There's someone out in your audience. I'm not going to name them. I don't want to put them on blast. But they originally, when I wrote an article last month, they called me fake news and everything. They really called me on Instagram. I didn't respond. I was just like, whatever. I basically just said, hey, I'm just giving the facts. You can take it or leave it. You know, it doesn't matter to me. And then they wrote me last night, a little bit after midnight, and they're like, hey, I just want to apologize. I was like, apologize for what? Like, I called you fake news. I was like, oh. So thank you.
Well, I think there's folks out there in the audience, because there's folks in the gun world that are depending on people like me to tell them what's going on. But some of the folks like me are really just representing the interests of those wealthy folks in the industry that are profiting the most from this. And that's the point that I'm trying to make. At the end of the day, the guy out there, the people out there, the guys and girls that bought this stuff, men and women, you are going to be the ones that have to deal with this. You're going to have to sit there and figure out what to do.
All right, let's not throw all influencers under the bus for being shills, because not all influencers are shills. You, for example, you won't shill for a company. I know that. You're not going to take the sweet money and do whatever.
But that's where this kind of stuff comes from, right? It comes from, like, this is why there's folks out there that are confused, because there's people out there that are like, hey, don't look at this. Don't look at this thing. Don't think about this. Just think about what you need to do is call up a congressman, write a letter, you know, and say, harumph, we're mad about this. And that's not good enough. People are going to get really caught out there. And these things are not cheap. I know there's a lot of people that have bought these things. We're talking $150, man. We're not, talking cheap, easy money. In some cases, those things are way above that. You're looking at $200-$300 to buy these, to buy the different braces that are out there, right?
I have tons of braces.
Yeah, so it's a lot of money, or you're looking at a lot of time potentially, and you're sitting there thinking about it, and then the people who are supporting you are only telling you, oh, listen, just don't pay attention to that. These guys are awesome. By the time you turn around and you figure out that these guys knowingly sold you things, you're in big trouble. So I don't want to make this all about that. I'm just saying that people need to understand this, okay? Because my recommendation is do not support the funds that these guys are putting up there. I'm just going to tell you, that's not John talking, that's me talking. Do not support the funds to fight this that are being put up there by companies like SB Tactical. Don't do that. If you want to support the fight, go for companies like GOA, FPC, whoever you want to. I also would not support NRA. I don't think that the NRA is doing anything except jumping on the bandwagon. Right? So I just want people to know that you need to be careful and think about what you're doing with money, because you might be taking more of your money and giving it to a defense fund for a company that knowingly led you down this path. Then the rest of it, we could talk about what we're going to do to push back against the ATF and how we're going to fight this kind of stuff. I'm not in the mood, though, to talk about writing letters and marching somewhere and calling up congressmen and all that type of stuff. That is not working here. Who do you think these guys are talking to when they start drafting all of this stuff? You think they're just talking to Biden? If you truly are out there and you believe that they're only talking to Biden and they're not talking to Republican politicians to come up with this stuff, then you're crazy. If you think that they're not talking to the NRA when they come up with this stuff, then you've totally lost your mind. Okay? If you think they're not talking to the industry, the people in the industry who are pretending, you know what, we just found out about this when you guys did. You don't have any kind of sense at all.
I just want to throw out there the SB Tactical, according to them, they say that they didn't find out until 2 hours before everyone else did.
Say that again?
SB Tactical did say that they didn't find out until 2 hours before everyone else did.
And you believe that?
I'm a reporter. I
I mean, just
report.
tell me. Okay, I get it, but do the folks out there really, really, truly believe that these guys had no clue, no clue? You exist in an industry that this thing that you make is what the ATF is looking at, and you're just magically finding out when everybody else finds out. That's BS. That's not like anyone who believes that is just like totally lost all sense. Okay, all rationale. You need to check yourself into like a mental institution or get a CAT scan or something like that.
In their defense, they didn't say they didn't know this was coming. They said they didn't know about the letter. So.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I mean, that I don't believe that. Okay. I don't believe that. What we need to do, I don't want to spend all the time talking about that, right? Obviously, these guys are trying to float this thing. They're putting it out here now. I think the last time we did one of these, we went live. We had a conversation about how in the last days and hours, of this year, of this month, that there's going to be crap coming at us. And someone was like, "Oh, what do you know?" You know how I knew that? How did I know that, John?
Talk to me.
No, not just talking to you, man. This is what they do every single time. This is not the first time in history that the ATF has done something like this and supposedly at the last minute. Right? It's not every single time this is how it goes. Now, also every time there's some folks out there who are on our side, including some politicians who are out there who are on our side, and that's how this stuff gets out. Right? There's people who are working in positions, like you said, you have someone on the inside. That's how this stuff gets out, right? But this is what they do every single time. In the last days, the last hours of the year, there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff coming at people. This is probably not even the end. And I think that folks need to think about this. When they went after the bump stocks, everyone was like, "Oh, it's no big deal, sacrificial lamb, we don't need it. We don't need that anyway." You give them this and then they'll stop. I was having this conversation and I saw some people in the chat referencing this, that I was having this conversation with a former ATF agent. There's a ton of snippets going up on this channel about that. And he said the same thing, right? He said, "No, but they just took that and now they'll stop. They're not coming after anything else." That was literally about 3 weeks ago. Okay? But here they are coming after other things in the last days of this month. And if they get their way with braces, then there's other things. There's a lot more stuff on the wish list other than those two things that you've been talking about that are right on top of their list.
Yeah. Right now, braces and 80% are like their big targets right now. And it looks like they're going to take those out. There's other stuff out there that's like, I think just as important, if not more important than this.
Other stuff like what that they could potentially go after?
Like the Walmart stuff.
Okay.
The article out.
Okay, I think you have an article out that basically said that that Walmart is turning their records over to ATF or something.
Article might say superstore or something like that. I'm going to say superstore or something like that. Yeah, but yeah. We can get into that. We just can talk about this. It's up to you.
No, I mean, listen. Here's what I want to do before we move on from this particular thing. Okay, so now that we're here, right? Now that we're here and we're seeing all of this, and there's folks out there saying, okay, what you guys need to do is call your senators and do this and do that. What exactly should people do, in your opinion? And then I'm going to give mine. I'm going to let you go for it.
What do I think people are going to do? They're going to have to decide for themselves what they are going to do with their braces, for one, whether they're going to comply or not. I'm not going to tell you not to comply. I'm not going to tell you to comply. I mean, that's something that you're going to have to make a decision on. It'd be nice to see people not comply. But there's other issues too here with this thing. Before you get into what you're gonna, let's just get into what are you gonna do? Then I'll get into some other issues. I think
I'm not gonna comply. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not complying with any of this. I'm not complying with any of this nonsense. I'm not going to march anywhere. I'm not going to write any stupid letters. I'm not making any stupid phone calls to people because it's just all BS. Right? As far as I'm concerned, it's all BS. Now, beyond not complying with it, I think there are things that people could do. You need to think about where you actually, where you actually live, because there's some states and even some counties inside of states that people are living in that have already made themselves 2A sanctuaries, right? And that might sound like nonsense, but if you look at this right now, we're transitioning, or we're going to transition into a Biden administration. Okay, and there's lots of people on the left that have created sanctuary counties, states, etc. So I believe that there's validity in the sanctuaries, because if they get rid of 2A sanctuaries, then there can't be any other sanctuaries. But I don't think that that's going to stand on its own, right? I think that the sanctuary counties, for example, like I live in a sanctuary county, that goes hand in hand with who's your actual sheriff. These are the people who can stand up if someone's actually going to roll down the street and try to take people's guns. I'm not saying that's what it's going to come to. I don't think it's going to come to that. But you have to have like states and counties sometimes inside of the states, when you're dealing with states like Virginia that you live in, that they don't give a crap what the citizens of Virginia think. They're just going to start doing all this unconstitutional trash, right? And then it's up to now the counties and those sheriffs in those counties to say, no, we're not going to enforce that. We're not forcing that on the people inside of our counties. I think this is the way that you push back and stand up against those kinds of things. How are they gonna roll up on everyone?
They're not going to roll up on everyone. That's the answer.
Yeah, someone out there is saying, "Will the sheriff fight the feds?" If your sheriff is not going to fight the feds, then you have a problem. I'm just going to tell you that. There are sheriffs out there that are not going to allow the feds to inflict unconstitutional, unconstitutional laws on their constituents, on the people who voted for them, the people that live in their counties.
Okay. I want to get into a little bit of options, what you can do if you have one and you decide you're going to comply with whatever. If compliance is your way, because I think some people will do that. I also talking about $200 track stamp. The ATF is going to give you a few different options. You can either remove or destroy remove the bricks from a firearm or destroy your firearm. Option one. Option two is to turn it into the ATF. Option three is to register it as a weapon. They will waive the $200 tax fee for that. But if you think about this, let's say there's 4 million braces on the low end, and let's say 25% of the people decide they're going to register their
So a million.
A million. The ATF has 6 people in Martinsburg who handles all like NFA applications. Yeah. So people, when you're going to hit them with a million, not only is that going to affect the braces, the Form 1s of the braces, but it will also affect all the suppressors out there. Think about the suppressors. You're going to be waiting like 18 years for a damn suppressor.
I have an idea of what they're going to do. I understand what you're saying. If a million people out there all of a sudden started registering these pistol braces, right, or these firearms with pistol braces on it, it will clog up the system. Okay, what makes you think they're not just going to go, hey, you know what? Because of this, now we need more money. The one thing I don't want to see them is I don't want to see the ATF any more funded. I want to see the ATF completely just abolished. They need to get rid of it. It's a criminal organization, man. Even we had the conversation when Vincent Sheffield was on the show talking about guns across the border and all that. The ATF has allowed guns to go across the border to Mexico, and it still exists. It shouldn't even be. It should not exist at all.
Yeah.
So them getting more funding and all that kind of stuff, I'm not for it, but I understand what you're saying. Look, someone told me this before I came on air. They were like, why don't we take every rifle that we own and say it has a pistol brace on it and register all of them?
And you get register everything. Maybe register fake rifles.
Yeah, I mean, but my thing is, no, man, they need to. There has to be a point where these guys realize, nah, that's it. We're not doing it. What are you gonna do? You know, what are
Well,
you guys gonna do about it? Let's put that out there. Think about that for the next 14 days. What are you actually gonna do to people if they go, hell no, we're not complying with that?
yeah. ADubs also brings one of the points. Since when can the ATF waive a tax? That's another.
That is another point. That is another point. I saw people asking me, there are genuinely folks out there that are disabled. What about those people?
They're. I mean, they're screwed.
Are they going to
basically.
have to register themselves with the ATF?
No, they're gonna have to register their pistols as SBRs. So.
Yeah. It's insanity, man. I really don't think, and I know, I get it. Like, it's kind of tough for you, right? Because you're, there's certain things that you could say on this and certain things you can't say. But I'm just gonna say that I do not think the folks out there should comply with this. I think they should definitely fight back. I saw GOA. GOA. Let's see.
The GOA is ramping up, getting ready to have a lawsuit, but we can't sue until any of this stuff goes into effect.
Yes, but the GOA says they're gonna. Here, I'll throw this up on the screen. GOA combat at every turn the reckless move by DOJ to regulate brace pistols. It says from Springfield, Virginia, in yet another reckless, bold, and illegal move by the Department of Justice's BATF, the rogue agency has moved to target brace pistols and their owners. Gun Owners of America received a copy of the draft ATF document concerning pistol braces that's set to be published as a notice in the Federal Register on December 17th, 2020. If there were any lingering questions as to how far ATF has gone into the deep end, this document settles it, said Eric Pratt, Senior Vice President, Gun Owners of America. The ATF is the embodiment of the word infringement, and GOA is prepared to combat its actions at every turn. GOA will rally the grassroots to fight these regulations, and if they eventually go into effect, we will commence immediately legal action to protect gun owners. This is more of what I want to hear, but calling up these senators or congressmen, okay, our representatives that have been emboldened by NRA either not doing anything or saying, "Oh, this is okay. Listen, we'll just take this. It's no big deal." Right? That's not going to get us anywhere anymore. That's the thing that I'm saying to folks out there. That's not going to get us anywhere anymore. And if you let some people out there bamboozle you into, this is basically, and this is my opinion, okay, basically what happened here in the very recent past is that folks were trying to offload these things before all of this came out. Okay?
Yeah.
That's what was going on in the industry. The industry was trying to get rid of this and make their money and then go, hey, you guys are going to have to deal with this now. And then they're going to come back at you and go, oh, but you know what? We have this fund over here. If you gave us money, we will fight for you. And you know what? If you call up the senators and you call the congressmen and talk to them real nicely, and then we'll all have a big march and everything is going to work out. That's what's really making me mad. I'm sick and tired of seeing the same thing get played over and over again and us being puppets for the very people that put us in a situation in the first place. I think if they would have just been more honest about this and fought for this, then we would have a lot better standing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what would be happening behind the scenes at companies or whatnot. So I really can't speak to that. That's what makes our team so great. You are the caller commentator, and I'm the play-by-play guy.
Okay, all right. So if you guys have questions, hit us with the questions right now, okay? Hit us with the questions. We'll get to the questions, and then we'll get to some other stuff that John's looking at here. Before we come out of here. So hit me with the questions that you have right now. Smash the thumbs ups if you can. I appreciate that. If you already smashed it, thank you. Please share this with folks out there. Okay. So who's got questions? Let me hear them.
Yeah, I know. I know Hank's not fired up of me
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah, Aspects Warrior says, thanks for being on the show. Hank's fired up, but I'm sure he's not fired up at you personally. No, John, I actually, I know what you're doing. I know how hard it is for you, and I appreciate that. So
Oh, thank you.
I'm not mad at you, man, at all. You know, you're my brother, okay? I know you're really actually in this fight with us, and I understand the limitations of the position that you're in right now. And I'm pissed off that you're even in that position, right? Because I know genuinely John is really trying to help you guys. And I don't know if there's some people that get caught up in some things. There's some people that like just choose to go after people or whatever. I get it, man. You all want to hang out with the big cool dudes or whatever and follow their lead and go after people that are actually trying to help you. I get it. I've seen it a lot. So, let's see. Let's see what happened here. Okay, someone asked a silly question, but I'm going to ignore that one. Can I turn my brace into a necklace, or would I go to prison? If it's not on a firearm, it's not. There's
Good.
nothing. They didn't make it into a machine gun. They're not proposing making it into a machine gun. So, no, you
That
could.
is
Yeah.
out of stock.
Um. So Dan Keeley says no one seems to be talking about others braced firearms that are over 26 with a vertical grip. Will it apply to them as well, since they're designed to be fired without two hands?
Uh, if it's what was the question? Sorry.
So someone said that no one's talking. No one seems to be talking about the others braced firearms that are over 26 inches with a vertical grip. Will it apply to them as well, since they're designed to be fired with two hands?
I think it will because I think it's going to hit those even harder because they automatically become shoulder devices. But I can't say for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see them okaying the others. I think if they turn a brace into a shouldering device for a pistol that's heavy,
Mm-hmm.
I think they're definitely gonna.
Yeah, I mean that's what the ATF is talking about. That, yes. So this is for everyone. This draft proposal they put out is for everything across the board of what's known as the braces.
Like in California, I know there are companies that sell California legal guns
Yeah.
that
Well,
are
and
other.
someone was asking a good question last night when I posted something. They said, "What about people who live in states that cannot have SBRs, but they can
Oh,
have pistols?"
well, you can dismantle it,
You're gonna,
destroy it, or turn it in.
yeah. Basically, you wasted your money.
I
If
mean,
you're in that state, unfortunately. I mean, I'm not happy about that. I'm not saying that, like, you know, you need to fight back on that. I think at some point here there's probably going to be some kind of class action, and there should be. I think there needs to be a lawsuit brought against the industry that have sold these things, because that's the only way you're going to actually, in like discovery, that's the only way you're going to find out the truth here. There's a lot of BS going on behind the scenes, and you guys won't find that out or believe it until something like that happens. So eventually we're going to go down that path. Magnus Imus says, how can we legally abolish the NFA or ATF? Is violence the only way, or can we do it non-violently?
I think we need to. This is not going to be a popular opinion, but
Mm-hmm.
getting rid of the NFA wholesale at one time, I don't think is possible. But
Mm-hmm.
but what I do think is possible is we can chip away at it, like somehow get SBRs and SBSs removed, or get suppressors removed and just chip away from it. Because that's how they put all this stuff in effect, little by little.
Yeah.
They didn't make huge leaps because there's no way that would get through, but they made little steps, and I think that might be the way we're going to have to do it until we can abolish it all the way. I mean, I think we should abolish the ATF and all gun laws. I think the only gun law that we should have is shall not be infringed.
Yeah. You know where we lost this fight? We lost this
Uh,
fight over 4 years ago when the NRA just anointed Donald Trump as the biggest gun guy out there in the world. That's where we lost this. You know, and I'm not trying to act like I didn't vote for Trump or anything like that. I mean, I'll tell you guys the truth. That's what I've been doing this whole time. But they anointed him that, and it kind of pushed a lot of people out of the field. But ultimately, what we're looking at here is us. I'm not even blaming them as much as us. We just look at someone and go, oh, he's cool. I want him to be president. He's going to do something about this because these guys said it. He never did anything about this. He never put... I had this conversation with the ATF agent. He never put a viable candidate up to run the ATF. If we would have supported the right politicians out there, but people don't like nerds. If we would support the real constitutional nerds, the real Second Amendment nerds, that's how we get rid of all of this together. If we get the right people elected and leading this country, and they have the right support, then we could do it, right?
Like Rand Paul.
Yeah, the problem here is we don't have that. So that's how this whole thing has been a mess and a nightmare. And I'll be honest with you, I really don't think Trump is looking or gives a crap about any of this right now.
I don't think he's going to move on it. From what I'm hearing, he's not going to move on it. But
yeah.
Or someone could get in his ear and talk to him.
Yeah. So let's see. Fundamental Vertatis says, how do conversion products work like Flux and B&T?
I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna have to find that out. This is why everyone needs to figure this out. But I'm just trying to warn you guys: don't give money. Don't support the fox in the hen house. Don't give the fox in the hen house money and think that that's going to protect the hens. Don't do that. Okay? Ultimately, the rest of the industry out there, if they want to survive, they're going to have to get together and put money together to fight this at every single point. Okay? Because this is going to have to go to the Supreme Court, or at the end of the day, we're going to have to fight this out there in the real world. Right? That's how this is going to work. So, but do not support the fox in the hen house when it comes to this. That's my warning to you guys out there. Patrick Michael wants to know, how will they distinguish a disabled person from a non-disabled person with a brace pistol? Will it matter under this guidance?
I don't think it's going to matter. I think you're going to be in the same boat.
Yeah. I think that's what we're looking at here. CJ has another question along those lines. Disability people will have to give the ATF their personal records, medical records next, so so they can check if you take medications. I think, as John said, there was nothing in this. When I looked through it, there was nothing to... They mentioned disabled people only in the beginning to say why they allowed this in the first place.
Yeah, it basically said, hey, this is why we did it, but that's not the way it's being used. But I just don't think that they like braces.
Yeah.
You gotta remember, Fat D head back then was, when braces were first approved and everything, was a very pro Second Amendment guy, so almost everything got approved.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Yeah. Another question when it comes to disabled people, can disabled people sue for discrimination?
I don't know. You gotta have to talk to a lawyer about that.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be very hard.
Yeah. So Priest of Baal says, why aren't they actually going after criminals' guns?
Because they're auditioning for the Biden-Harris administration.
Yeah.
And if you go after like a street level criminal, someone who's like running guns illegally or selling them to gangbangers or whatnot, that's not flashy. That doesn't get the press. This does.
Yeah. Those, to be honest with you, they realize this, right? It's the normal citizen, that the average citizen out there that's law-abiding, that they want to criminalize. That's what we're looking at. I mean, New York released all their people who were, most of them. I don't want to say all. That's probably not accurate. But they are right now in the process of releasing the folks that are locked up for gun crimes. So what are we talking about here? We've got criminals illegally getting guns and committing crimes, but they're releasing those guys, and at the same time they're setting up ways to make us criminals. Why? Because we are the future slaves of America. When you want to set up something where everyone just magically gets paid money because they're alive and they're breathing, how are you going to do that? You have to have slaves that are going to feed that economy, and we are those people. But what do? You have to take away the ability of those people to fight back against you if you're going to do that. So this is my opinion of a lot of what we see going on.
Yeah, you can either choose dangerous freedom or safe servitude. And
Yeah.
I always choose dangerous freedom.
Absolutely, man. The problem I think that a lot of us have is we've been too comfortable, me included. We're getting too fat and too comfortable in our lives here, and we're not getting upset enough to do anything about this. And that's what's given these guys, over the last 4 years, they've had more leeway than ever to do stuff like this. The 4 years prior to that, everybody was fighting back.
I see Antonia out there. Shout out to my girl Antonia, one of the other.
What's Antonia saying?
No, she just said, "Love you, John and Hank. Make sure you support the 08 y'all. Peace."
Yeah. Okay. So Matthew W says, should I buy an AR pistol now? I literally decided to get one yesterday, and then this. What's your answer to that?
No.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's up to you. Right now, with the whole entire ATF thing, I would hold off, or at least buy a AR pistol without a brace, unless you plan on, either non-compliance or registering as a SBR.
Yeah. Meathead Jose says, there you go, backpedaling already. No one has any cojones anymore. Guess what, dude? I don't know what you think I'm backpedaling on. I'm fighting. I'm either only going to be fighting in the courts or fighting right here. That's it. That's the only thing I'm doing. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. And if you want to fight in the courts, you actually have to get lawyers to do that. There has to be organizations that we trust and believe in, and that we've got to help them to go out there and fight these things at every single turn. Ultimately, if the Supreme Court refuses to take up 2A cases, then we're going to have to fight in the streets. That's just like the reality of what it is. We're going to have to fight in the streets.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
I know DOA is gearing up for a legal battle. Their lawyers are already working on it. But like I said, you can't sue on something that's not in effect yet.
Yeah.
If people want today, it's not possible.
Yeah. Robert Pozzarina, hopefully, I apologize if I'm butchering your name, says, how do you register an 80% SBR? Oh, yeah. You don't. You don't. Neither one of us are lawyers. My answer is going to be you don't. Okay? Rebecca Blankship says, is it illegal for a citizen to make a weapon in their home?
No, it's totally legal. I do it all the time. I have a Ghost Gunner 3, and I just mill out the lowers and just build ARs all the time. It's my hobby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see here. Reese Bundy says, so what happens when less than 1% comply? They don't have record on who owns them, so how will they find them? Go ahead.
They're just not going to care. I mean, they're going to say, oh, look, we did this. Honestly, I don't think anyone's going to get hemmed up unless you commit another crime, and then they're going to hem you up on that, or unless you have like a dick sheriff or something that sees you firing one at the firing range, or some Karen out there. I don't think you are.
Yeah, I agree with that. Andrew B.A. says they're going to go after influencers and people with influence in the community first to break down gun owner morale. Okay.
I don't know if they are. I think they might go after the people who don't have a voice to do this silently until enough people get hemmed up, then they can make it the new norm.
Yeah. There's lots of things I think that in the reality, if you want to know the reality of how this is going to go down, all you have to do is look at what the ATF was doing with Polymer 80, right? They went there, they seized computers, they got names.
Yeah.
And then they started visiting people. So that's one thing there. I think the other thing is that if they're allowed to get away with this and classify it as an SBR, and so you might have had a pistol or something like that in your car, and you got pulled over before, and police officers saw that, and they're like, Okay, it's fine. Now they could go, oh, I think, that could be an illegal SBR. Do you have paperwork for that or something? And the next thing you know, that you're looking at charges. And this is why I keep saying that it comes down to your state. If you really want to fight back in the next 4 years for the rest of our lives, I think we always have to keep fighting back. But for the next 4 years, you better really seriously think about what the hell is going on in your state and who you're electing to be your sheriff, to be your state reps, and who's going out there to represent you in Congress and in the Senate, because that's going to affect you big time, big time. There's a ton of comments in here. Let me go. I think there was a super chat somewhere here.
They were asking about the permits, expired permits, and registering for NFA item. They're not related.
Say that again.
They were asking if their permit, their CHP was expiring, could they still register their AR pistol with the NFA? And the answer is they're independent of each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, these are going to be completely separate things. They haven't even said like exactly how long that's going to be open for, right? Which goes back to what you were saying about what's even going to happen here if people actually try to dump into this and register these things. How long is that open for? Where's the cutoff date?
They don't have. In the final, since this is a draft, they have to have a comment period. I'm sure that will all be in there after the comment period.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of other questions here. I know there's a lot of people in here. Let me see if there's any other.
More than I've ever seen.
Yeah, there's a ton of people in here. So shout out to everyone who's in here. I'm going to try to get to some of the comments or questions that are coming in here now. And Stigma Shooter 556, thanks you for that. By the way, there aren't stupid questions. I understand the fact that folks out there don't know and don't understand this, and we're trying to help those people, because right now this is like a big thing, right? This is something that went to everyone. With the bump stocks, not everyone had them. A lot of us that even tried it out realized it was not really a good idea. So this is something a lot of people have.
Yeah, it's like comparing a product that sold 100,000 to a product that sold between 4 and 6 million. So it's a huge difference. But there was one question out there that I think is very important for everyone that somebody asked. All you need to do for the person that asked the question, you know who you are, is go to thegundies.com, go to most influential male of the year and vote for me, and go for crossover creator and vote for me there. There you go.
Okay, are you done pushing the Gundies? Can we get back to like the serious work here for a second?
I have attention, man.
Okay, all right, yes, okay. Vote for him and the Gundies. If you want to know what the hell the Gundies are, you need to go to Lifestyles of the Locked and Loaded. There's a whole episode trying to explain what that is to you.
That's what I'm trying to push, Hank.
Right. Okay. So Matt McGuire wants to know, where were we when in the past Patriot Act? Republicans cheering up and down for it. Okay, that's where America changed fundamentally, and a lot of people don't realize it, in my opinion. So
I'll tell you one thing: when the Patriot Act first came out, I freaking was ballistic on people trying to get them to not support it.
Yeah, well, that's why they called it the Patriot Act, right? That's how you get people to think it's something awesome. I don't know people in the gun community. If Matt, if you know people in the gun community that thought the Patriot Act was awesome, let me know, because I don't. How many people in the gun community do you come across that think the Patriot Act was great? Because I've never said that, and I don't know anyone who's said that. So I'm not saying there aren't some Republicans out there. That's one of the problems that we have, the fact that we just have two parties running in this country, man. That's one of the biggest problems. Al USMC says there will be a push for appointed sheriffs instead of elected. Be on the lookout. That's already happened in some places, right?
Yeah, I just want to say AXAP Warrior, whatever, had an awesome comment. They said the Gundies will save us all. Something about the award show is kind of funny comment, but yeah, they are. And for example, in my county, Loudoun County, we have a sheriff and a Republican, but the board is mostly made up of Democrats. Loudoun County, Virginia, they're trying to eliminate the sheriff department totally and replace it with a police force with a chief of police that would report directly to the board. So that
Yeah.
stuff is.
How do you handle if people ask you questions like whether or not you're autistic?
Me,
Yeah,
but because I am.
you are, right? So that's not a thing. I mean, I think there's some people out there that wanna ask that question. We've never really handled it, but I've seen there's several people who want to get into that because for some reason getting good information from a person is not enough for everyone out there. So that's not something you're ashamed of, right?
I don't care.
I think that gives you a superpower, man. That's why you're able to read through all the details of all these things.
Yeah, I mean, it helps me.
Yeah.
It actually helps me, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I see Babyface P is out there making comments. I'll throw his comments up, but I'm going to try to see what comments or what questions that folks have out here. Here's a super chat. Big Dre 357 says they do this to mess with us because they know they won't be stopped and SCOTUS won't hear the cases. That's what they think. I mean, ultimately, they. You know what's funny? You have to think. If you're looking at politicians and people in the government, right, and people out there who think that we in the past few months we had a lot of people rioting out there and burning down cities and stuff like that, right? And you have to think that these guys are looking at folks like us who are law-abiding, who never did anything like that. But however, we believe in the Second Amendment and we're out there practicing and living the Second Amendment. Well, how come they're not worried about how we're going to react to things or what we're going to do with it? It's a good question.
It is.
Yeah. What do you think the answer to that is, man?
I don't know. I mean, I wish I could give you a better answer than I don't know, but right now I don't know. And at the end of this year in 2020, it told me if it's told me anything, it's told me that I don't know.
Yeah. I think we have to figure out if we keep moving the line or if we've reached to the point where we're like, nope, this is it. I'm done dealing with this stuff. I know for me personally, I'm done. I'm done with asking people to like write their senators or their congressmen or call them up. I'm done with that nonsense. I'm past that. I'm over that. And I'm not saying I don't want to hang out with people out there in the world. I'm totally happy to hang out with you guys and meet you somewhere in a march or whatever. But that's not a solution to any of this either. That's not a solution. Okay, if we meet in a march and the media doesn't cover it and doesn't give a damn, what does it mean? It doesn't mean anything. It's just an exercise to help you get your frustrations out, and then you feel like, oh, well, I did something about that. Ultimately, there has to be more people going, hell no, that's it. We've had enough of this. This has to stop. And yeah, unfortunately, that means we have to get to a point where if the Supreme Court is not shutting these people down, we have to get to a point, we have to pick the place where we're like, this is it. It ends right here. And if you keep doing this, you're going to suffer for doing it. When they catch real sufferation, when there's people who really know how to bring the frickin' noise, okay, how to really blow shit up and take it there, then they might think about it. But right now they're not worried about those people.
Yeah, you got to remember, one of the things that you have to remember is that the people we are fighting, the anti-gunners in the Congress and wherever, and then the anti-gunners like Bloomberg and the Moms and Action people, they are driven by a fundamental hatred of firearms. It's not about actually solving any problems. It's not about taking criminals off the streets. It's about their fundamental hatred for the right to bear arms. And in a lot of cases, it's about the fundamental hatred of self-defense.
Someone asked the question of, so if you have a pistol and you just take it off and you've got just a buffer tube there, what's up with that?
It depends. It depends on what type of buffer tube. They make pistol buffer tubes. I have one in the other room. Before the whole brace thing got big, everyone had pistol buffer tubes.
Right. Yeah.
It just depends on what type of buffer tube and everything else. Right now, it's no one really knows. Anyone who says, "Oh, this is exactly what they're going to do. This is exactly what the requirements are," that no one knows. Not anyone in the industry, not anyone out there, not any politicians. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
the ATF even knows what
Mm-hmm.
they. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that can. So who knows?
So, and this is the thing. Someone out there says, "Where's the hill that we fight for?" Okay, at some point, you have to realize that these guys are not going to stop. So, whenever you realize that people aren't going to stop, I was never for giving up bump stocks as a sacrificial lamb, so that these folks out there that hate the Second Amendment and freedom and all that kind of stuff so much would stop. Okay, because
Yeah.
I never believed they would stop. If you need something other than this to realize that, oh, we're there right now, then I don't know what to say to you. We're already there. Once they get away with this, and people comply with this, they're not stopping at pistol braces. Okay? The next thing that they're going to go after is probably 80% lowers. They've already gone after one company in the 80% lower thing, but it's on their agenda to get rid of the 80% lowers altogether.
Have you ever heard of a term that I've used in the past called I call happy tyranny?
Happy tyranny? No, explain that to me.
Happy tyranny is the theory that if you this is just my theory. If you take away rights little by little when no one notices that you're taking it away, one day you will cross into the realm of tyranny and you didn't have to fight for that tyranny and you didn't have to throw a big fit to get that tyranny.
Mm-hmm.
You just took it away. It was a gradual change and no
Mm-hmm.
one noticed.
So
So
that's like the
everyone,
slow boil theory, right? Of if a frog in a pot of boiling water and you turn it up slowly,
yeah,
they
everyone,
won't jump out.
if they
Mm-hmm.
don't think it's tyranny, but they're living in a tyrannical society.
Yeah, we're there. If you want to know, we're there. We're at that point. We're right there at that point, okay? Or we've probably crossed that point a long time ago, all right? So now we're there. This is just one thing, man. This is one thing coming at you at the end of 2020. There's a whole plan that these guys have, and they're planning on implementing past January 20th, right? This is, I really feel like, from the ATF, there's people over there jockeying so they can be the ones approved to run the ATF and get the big jobs and stuff like that, and saying, hey, look at what we did here. We did this. Give me that job, and then I'm going to go after all the other stuff that you want. So by the time
Yeah.
you catch yourself, you're not even going to be able to have a BB gun in America. So that's where we are here. We're there right now. I don't think I need anything else to tell me, you know, here's the line. We're already there. I don't need it anymore. So at this point, I'm done with that. I don't think there should be any more time trying to convince these politicians. When the time comes, these guys who don't really believe in it, don't vote for them. I don't care if they're Republican or what they are. Don't vote for them. Okay, that's the only way that we're getting out of this. And when and then past the voting and the suing people and whether or not the Supreme Court is going to take up any of these cases, okay, and reassure the sanctity of the Second Amendment, the people who are supposed to do it are us, right? That's the reason why it's even there, right? We're the ones who are ultimately supposed to do it, and that's what it's going to come down to. And unfortunately, that's going to come down to states. What state do you live in? And even in some states, I live in Florida, but not all of Florida gets it. So even in some states, it's going to come down to what counties do you live in? Who are your neighbors? Who's going to get together and fight? I'm not a badass at all, and I have no doubts that if they come after me on my own, I'm toast. Okay,
Yeah.
but if they come after me and my entire community, it's a whole different story.
Yeah, Andrew BA brings up a good point that they count BB guns and pellet guns in school shootings stats, and that is right. That's actually from a report that I did where I took the traces information where they said the last 30,000 shootings, and I went through all 30,000 of them and traced them back to what they were, and a lot of them were BB guns. There were some airsoft guns, and then the school shootings were expanded to like blocks. So yeah, they use tricks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So listen, I think we've been going for over an hour here. I think you probably have a bunch of stuff to do. I know we've got a lot of folks out there joining us or whatever. I appreciate everyone hanging out. I know everyone's got concerns here with this. I'm going to give you an opportunity. I know you said you've got other stories coming up, so tell these guys exactly what other stories you have out there already, and then what's coming up that you could talk about.
There is a story that I have that's going to break about a major retailer named Walmart that is closing 20% of their FFLs and turning over all that information to the ATF. And the ATF, for their out of business office in Mount Martinsburg, has purchased a bunch of high-speed scanners, and they're using OCR technology, which is optical character recognition technology, to scan all those 4473s into a searchable database. So if you bought a gun from a dealer that's now out of business, you will be in a database, and they will be able to search on your name, serial number of the firearm, birthday.
So why is Walmart doing that when, I mean, the thing that you do as an FFL if you're getting out of the business is you could turn that business over to another FFL, or if you just want to get out, you can get out, right? And
well, if you get out, well, the thing is, if you go out of business, you're supposed to send your records to Martinsburg. What they could do is send it to a successor FFL, which is one of the other stores that still sell guns. They're not going to do that.
Right, because they want these records to be turned over.
Yeah, for Walmart, it's not about, oh, we're anti-gun. It's, we're too lazy to send.
Okay.
But I got that from a leaked conference call, and that was from Regina and Regina directly.
Okay, cool. There's a lot of folks out there thanking us both, including you, for doing this. You're going to keep working on this, right? We haven't seen the end of this story. You're going to keep working and digging up and bringing things to folks out there?
Yeah. I got a couple more stories before the end of the year, but they're going to be nice stories. I say nice stories, not too serious stories.
Okay.
One of the stories is about this guy named Zazzer, who's a famous artist. He made this watch right here.
Okay. Very nice.
Very nice. It's handmade, and he's a really famous artist, and he really likes guns. So I have that story coming up, and some other cool stories that aren't that aren't too serious before the end of the year, and then I'm gonna probably take a couple weeks off because I looked last week and I've written close to 600 weeks straight.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, you need to take some time off. Real quick, M. Gabriel says, could a FFL destroy records more than 20 years old?
They're supposed to.
Yeah. But the ATF here looks like they're hungry to get their hands on these records. So we'll see where that goes. Okay, listen, thanks everyone for joining us. I appreciate this. For the people who are going to come in here afterwards and watch this, I appreciate you guys watching this. I'm trying to give you the best information of what's actually going on in the background. And I know not everyone wants to hear this, but I'm going to put it up there, and then whatever people feel about it is what they feel. Whatever repercussions we get out of it is what we get out of it. It is what it is.
Can I put out a request?
Sure. I know exactly what it's going to be, but go ahead. You do it, and then we're out.
Do not. Man. Come on. All right, never mind. We got it. My OCD was messing with me, and the number was at 298, which is too close to 300.
Okay.
Anything else.
You want one more person to smash the thumbs ups?
They already did, so it's all good.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate you guys. Listen. Fight back, okay? These guys cannot actually handle it if we all fight back. But don't let people, don't let Pied Pipers out there lead you astray and take you down a path where you think you're doing something, but you're not actually doing anything. That's what I'm going to say. John, I'm going to give you the last word.
Yeah, check me out, John Crump 2. I'm doing a podcast today with my two little nieces. My niece has terminal brain cancer. So she wants to do another podcast, so we're going to do a podcast with her today. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about, but it's going to be fun. That's at 5.
Amen. God bless America, man. Stay strong out there, guys. We're really going to have to fight on this one. It's not even a joke. You really need to get ready for what's coming at us. We're out. Peace.